Hello, jewels of inestimable value. The most dangerous person in the room is the one who doesn't care if you notice her. A Sigma female never seeks to dominate with loud words or flashy displays, yet without trying, she becomes the most commanding presence in any space. Her quiet confidence, piercing intellect, and unyielding independence make her a force that others can't quite figure out. It's not that she tries to intimidate, it's just that she does effortlessly. The most unsettling part? She rarely realizes just how much power she holds over those who feel dwarfed by her strength. These signs will reveal the raw truth. A Sigma female is far more intimidating than she could ever imagine. Number 1. Her presence makes others question themselves. When a Sigma female walks into a room, she doesn't need to say a word to make an impact. Her presence alone stirs something deep in people, forcing them to examine themselves in ways they weren't ready for. It's not that she's actively trying to make anyone uncomfortable, but the sheer confidence she exudes without effort feels like a mirror to those around her. People start questioning their own motives, doubting their choices, and even wondering if they're enough, because next to her calm self-assurance, their insecurities rise to the surface. This isn't the kind of intimidation that comes from trying to overpower others. It's the kind that happens when someone stands so firmly in who they are, they unknowingly cause others to lose their footing. It's the unsettling realization that she doesn't need anyone's approval or validation, and that leaves people scrambling to figure out their own. In her presence, masks fall off and facades crack, not because she demands it, but because her unwavering authenticity silently calls out the lack of it in others. And that, more than anything, makes her more intimidating than she will ever realize. Number 2. Her silence is deafening. Her silence is not just the absence of words, it's a statement all on its own. When a Sigma female chooses to stay quiet, it can shake people more than if she had said something outright. In a world where everyone feels the need to fill the air with noise, her silence becomes something people can't ignore. It's unnerving because most are used to reading others through constant chatter, through opinions, reactions, and comments. But with her, there's nothing to read, just silence, and that silence makes people uncomfortable. They start wondering what she's thinking, if she's judging them, or if she's even interested at all. That uncertainty gets under their skin. People project their insecurities onto her, assuming her silence is some kind of critique or disapproval, when in reality she just doesn't feel the need to talk for the sake of it. Her ability to sit comfortably in her own quiet confidence speaks louder than any words could, and it leaves people feeling exposed, unsure of how to act, because they've never dealt with someone who doesn't need to engage to feel powerful. Number 3. Her independence feels like a rejection. Her independence can feel like a slap in the face to those who aren't used to it. A Sigma female thrives on doing things her own way, without relying on anyone else, and that can leave people around her feeling dismissed or even rejected. They mistake her need for solitude and self-reliance as a personal affront, as if her decision to stand alone somehow diminishes their worth. It's not that she doesn't value relationships or connections. She just doesn't need them to define her or guide her decisions. For many, this kind of independence is hard to understand because they're used to people who need validation, who seek out others for approval or help. But for the Sigma female, relying on someone else feels like giving up a part of herself, and she's not willing to make that trade. It's this fierce self-sufficiency that can make others feel insignificant, like their presence or help isn't needed, and that can sting. What they don't realize is that her independence isn't a rejection of them, but rather a deep respect for her own path. Number 4. She sees through facades instantly. She has an almost eerie ability to see through people's facades. Most people wear masks, whether it's to fit in, hide insecurities, or gain approval. But a Sigma female has zero tolerance for pretenses. She sees right through the fake smiles, the forced conversations, and the exaggerated bravado. It's not something she does intentionally or to expose others. It's just a natural part of who she is. Her sharp intuition picks up on subtle cues, the body language, the small inconsistencies in behavior, the tone behind the words, and instantly tells her when someone's being anything less than genuine. This can be unsettling for others, especially for those who are used to keeping their true selves hidden behind layers of pretense. They feel naked in front of her, exposed without ever understanding how or why. They realize quickly that there's no point in trying to fool her because she's already seen the real version of them. And it's that clarity, her ability to cut straight through the mask, that makes her so intimidating. She won't call you out directly, but the fact that she knows makes people uncomfortable because they know they can't hide from her. Number 5, she doesn't chase attention, and that's what draws people in. A Sigma female never chases attention, and that's exactly what draws it to her. In a world where people are constantly trying to be seen through social media posts, loud conversations, or dramatic gestures, she remains completely unfazed. She doesn't seek validation from others, doesn't feel the need to perform or put on a show, and this effortless detachment makes her stand out even more. It's like she's operating on a different frequency, where approval from others is irrelevant, and that makes people even more intrigued by her. What people can't quite understand is that her disinterest in their opinions doesn't come from arrogance, but from a deep-rooted self-confidence. She knows her worth, and because of that, she doesn't need anyone to confirm it for her. Ironically, this quiet confidence pulls people in. They can't help but be drawn to her, wondering how someone can be so comfortable in their own skin without needing external validation. Her refusal to chase attention makes people give it to her freely, almost obsessively, because they're curious about what makes her tick. And that curiosity is exactly what puts her in the spotlight, even when she never asked for it. Number 6. Her standards are unreachable for the average person. Her standards are sky high, and that makes her untouchable to the average person. She knows exactly what she wants, whether in her career, relationships, or personal life, and she won't settle for anything less. This isn't about being picky or difficult. It's about having a clear understanding of her value and refusing to compromise on it. Most people aren't used to someone who knows their worth so deeply. They're accustomed to others bending, adjusting, and lowering expectations to make things work. But a Sigma female doesn't play by those rules. For the average person, her standards feel intimidating, almost impossible to meet. They quickly realize they either need to level up or risk falling short. And it's not just about what she expects from others, it's about how she holds herself to those same high standards. That kind of self-discipline and determination can be overwhelming for people who are used to cutting corners or accepting mediocrity. Being around her forces others to confront their own complacency, and it can make them feel inadequate. Her unwavering refusal to settle for less isn't meant to put others down, but it often leaves people feeling like they're not enough to be in her world. Number 7. Her emotional detachment is misread as superiority. Her emotional detachment is often misread as superiority. A Sigma female doesn't wear her heart on her sleeve, and she's not easily swayed by emotions, either her own or others. This doesn't mean she's cold or unfeeling, it just means she approaches life with a certain level of distance and logic. To some, this calm detachment comes across as aloofness, as if she thinks she's above being vulnerable like everyone else. But the truth is, she simply doesn't see the point in getting swept up in emotions that don't serve her. People who are used to emotional outbursts or dramatic displays often find her demeanor unsettling. They might think she's too guarded or that she believes she's too good to engage in the messy reality of human emotion. What they don't realize is that her emotional control is a form of strength, not arrogance. She knows that reacting impulsively or letting emotions run wild only clouds judgment and complicates situations. But because she remains so composed, it can make others feel inferior, like they're emotionally immature in comparison. That's where the intimidation comes from. Her ability to stay level-headed while others around her are unraveling makes them feel small in her presence. Number 8. She walks away without apology. When a Sigma female walks away, she does it without apology. She doesn't need to explain herself, offer excuses, or look back for validation. If something or someone no longer aligns with her values or goals, she'll cut ties and move on without hesitation. This ability to walk away so effortlessly leaves people stunned, because most are accustomed to drawn-out goodbyes, second chances, and the need for closure. But for her, walking away is simply a matter of self-respect, not drama. What makes this so intimidating is the finality of it. People realize, sometimes too late, that when she's done, she's really done. There's no pleading or convincing her to stay, no room for negotiation. She's already weighed the decision carefully, and once she decides to move on, she does so with a level of certainty that's rare. This leaves those left behind feeling powerless and often confused because they expect a struggle or an emotional farewell. But instead, they're met with silence and an unshakable certainty that leaves no room for doubt. It's this firm, unapologetic resolve that makes her presence feel so powerful, and her exit even more so. Number 9. She cuts through small talk like a razor. She cuts through small talk like a razor, leaving no room for the usual pleasantries or superficial chatter. When she engages in conversation, she goes straight to the heart of the matter, often bypassing the routine niceties that most people rely on to navigate social interactions. For many, this directness can be jarring because they're used to easing into discussions with safe topics and predictable exchanges, but she doesn't have time for that. Her focus is on meaningful dialogue, and she expects the same from others. This approach makes people feel exposed, as if they've been stripped of their social armor and left to face the raw essence of their thoughts and feelings. They might find themselves stumbling over their words, unsure how to keep up with the shift from light banter to profound conversations. Her ability to dissect conversations and dive straight into what really matters can make others feel unprepared or even inadequate. It's not that she's trying to unsettle anyone. She's just uninterested in wasting time. Her straightforwardness forces people to either rise to the occasion or retreat, making interactions with her both intensely engaging and subtly intimidating. Number 10. Her unspoken expectations create a silent pressure. Her unspoken expectations create a silent pressure that's almost palpable. A Sigma female doesn't need to lay out what she wants or expects from others because her presence and actions set a clear standard. It's a kind of silent command where people instinctively know that they need to step up or risk falling short. She doesn't voice her demands or make a show of what she considers acceptable. Instead, she embodies it through her own behavior and demeanor. This creates a unique kind of intimidation. Those around her often feel an underlying pressure to meet her unspoken standards, even though they're never explicitly stated. It's like trying to navigate a complex set of rules without ever being handed the guidebook. The subtlety of this expectation can be more daunting than any direct confrontation because it's both elusive and relentless. People are left grappling with the sense that they need to constantly prove themselves, and that constant unspoken demand for excellence can make them feel like they're always on edge, trying to measure up to an ideal that they can't fully grasp. In a world that often values conformity and superficial connections, a Sigma female's natural way of being is a stark contrast that many find both fascinating and daunting. Her silent strength, clear standards, and emotional detachment create an aura that commands respect and introspection. It's not that she aims to intimidate, it's simply that her authenticity and independence naturally set her apart. The signs of her unintentional intimidation, from her unyielding presence to her directness, reveal a person who navigates life with a rare combination of confidence and clarity. For those who encounter her, it's a reminder of what it means to stand firmly in one's own truth, without apology or compromise. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the subtle power of a Sigma female, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more thought-provoking content. Your support helps us bring you more insights and discussions that dig below the surface. Subscribe now and join the conversation. Thanks for watching, Jules. See you in the next video. Bye for now and stay blessed.